Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum 7th class students. I am Fatma here with 11th lecture of SST. Alhamdulillah, I am fine and hopefully you are fine too. Dear students, open page number 61. Firstly, we will do reading. Next reading. The reawakening of Islam. Islam reached its peak in northern India under the Mughals. That is, in Mughal period, the Islam reached at its peak in northern India. But even at the height of their power, that it means that when the Mughals were at the height of their power, the Mughals were minority, outnumbered by Hindus by 5 or 6 to 1. At that time, when they were at the height of their power, they were less than Hindus, that is ratio of 5 or 6 to 1. Many of the Mughals emperors were devout and dedicated Muslims, though there were many nobles and ordinary people who were not so strict in Islam. Many abuses began to creep in. Under the last Mughal emperor Aurangzeb, an orthodox Muslim means who is very strict in Islam, the empire was brought to the edge of bankruptcy by almost 50 years of continuous wars. After Aurangzeb's death in 1707, there was a succession of emperors who looked for little but their own pleasure. And by beginning of the 18th century, the Europeans were increasingly exerting their influence in the subcontinent, and the Muslims have fallen down. Information box. A maktab is a place of learning. The word maktab comes from the word kitab, meaning book. The Muslims of the subcontinent weakened as a community as a result of the influence, ineffective leadership and a frequent fighting amongst themselves as well as against the Sikhs and Marathas. This allowed the French and finally the British to gradually take over almost the entire country. It means that Muslims of the subcontinent weaken as community because of ineffective leadership and frequent fighting between them. That is, there is no unity between the Muslims as well as against the Sikhs and Marathas. That's why French and British become more powerful in the subcontinent. But there were also some wise and sensible people who realized the importance of unity, education, and a common purpose for the Muslims. There were religious figures like Shah Waliullah and other mystic Sufi saints. Each of these leaders called their fellow Muslims to arise and became aware and active to develop into a strong and finally independent community. The madrasas and maktabs, as the basic center of Islamic learning, played a major role in the revival of the Muslims or in the reawakening of the Muslims. Ulama, as the scholars were known, advocate a return to Quranic principles to reform society. Shah Waliullah 1703 to 62. Shah Waliullah was born into a strict religious family. His father being a teacher at madrasa in Delhi. Shah Waliullah was educated here and later went to the study in Makkah. When he returned after 14 years, late in 1732, the Muslim situation was even worse and they were deeply divided. People had different ideas of what the religion really meant, largely because the Holy Quran was in Arabic and most of the people did not know the language. They had to believe whatever their leaders and preachers told them. Waliullah translated the Holy Quran in Persian, which was understood by most educated people at the time. His son later translated it into Urdu so that it could be read by many more. Waliullah believed that if people could read Allah's word for themselves, they would unite in one faith. But Waliullah was much more than just a religious teacher. He saw that the way people live and behave with one another dependent on their religious ideas. Also, their religion depended on people being good, just, and honest toward each other in the society, as well as being a philosopher in showing how Islam and the general way of life depended on one another. Waliullah was a very practical man. He realized that the great differences between the rich and the poor are in the society, and the dishonesty of many traders discouraged many people from obeying some of the laws of Islam. He urged that the poorer people, the peasants and workmen, should be given a decent income. They would then become a very strong part of fairer society. Merchants and shopkeepers too should charge fair prices for their goods so that many people could enjoy them. Although Waliullah did not reach high office or any position of power, the influence of his teaching was immense. In the years after his death, he showed the people the way to return to the purity of their faith. We will do reading in this lecture till here, and now we will do book reading question 1 to 5. Dear students, these are book reading questions of chapter number 13. We will do book reading question from 1 to 5 in this lecture, that is in lecture 11. Write these questions on sticky note. Dear student, open page number 62. The first book reading question is define maktab. Answer is first information box. A maktab is also a place of learning. The word maktab comes from the word kitab, meaning book. The answer of question number 2 book reading is the madrasas and maktab as basic center of Islamic learning played a major role in the revival of the Muslim. Answer of question number 3 book reading is Waliullah translated the Holy Quran into Persian and his son later translated it into Urdu. Till here. The answer of question number 4 book reading is Waliullah believed that if people could read Allah's word for themselves, they would unite in one faith. This is answer of question number 4 book reading. The answer of question number 5 book reading is the influence of his teaching was immense. In the years after his death, he showed the people the way to return to the purity of their faith. Dear student, this is all about lecture number 11. Take care. Allah Hafiz.